Hello, hello, good afternoon, and happy Friday. I just wanted to come on here today and just give a little bit of support. Today, we are talking about grace in grief, and each Friday outside of the holidays, I like to come on and just add extra support and steps in how do we get that grace in grief. And the biggest thing that I like to focus on is how do we remove the suffering? The suffering is really what can cause that grief to just bring it to your knees and sometimes down on your elbows and sometimes just collapsed on the floor. Grief in itself is already very heavy. But when we add the suffering, that's when it's unbearable. And so I just come on here to add that support, give you tools and tips and ideas. And I also want to invite you at the end of this to join me next year, coming up soon. In February, I'm going to be starting a program and doing Grace in Grief again. I have had a lot of folks who are asking for it. And so definitely it's time to go and bring that support in again to them, to their families, and to you. And so, what we're taking a look at today is how are you doing during the holidays? Just asking yourself that question, letting that question sink in. How are you? How are you doing? What do you need? Sometimes we get so busy, and that can also be part of grief, right? Part of handling grief is avoiding. Part of handling grief could be just disconnecting. Part of handling grief could be so busy. I can relate to that one. And for also some of us, grief can just be delayed, and so it can hit us. But there's also times like when the holidays come, and those are like anniversaries, not a particular anniversary, but an anniversary to the second year of Christmas without that person, or the first year without that person. And it also is important to know that grief doesn't just have to do with death, right? It could be, and yes, it will make me emotional. It could be, a loss in a relationship. It could be a loss of a friend. It could be the loss of your health, the change. It could be you're getting to a certain age, and so the body's showing up differently. And so some of those things can automatically bring grief because grief is just an experience of loss of something is the way it was before. And as I'm experiencing right now, it can show up physically and you're not even looking for it. You're not even trying for it. You're just talking about it. So, my request is that you don't make it bad or wrong. Yes, it's uncomfortable, my throat being tight, there's some extra pressure going on. But if I were to then tell myself that's wrong and bad and that's stupid and I'm going to look inferior or weak or anything else, that will cause suffering. And that will cause this experience that's happening to be shameful and filled with guilt. And it can also show up that I'm being that way towards someone else, and now they're reacting because now they're uncomfortable. They don't know what to do. And round we go. So, if when you answer that question, you start to have emotions, allow those emotions to flow. And I like to use the example of if you've eaten something that's not healthy for you, or you've had too much alcohol, or whatever's going on that your stomach isn't feeling well, you're not like, excuse me, I think I'm going to be sick. You're like, excuse me, I got to get to the bathroom, excuse me, or a trash can, or the sink, or something, right? Because you don't want to get that smelliness everywhere. And so it's much like that with our emotions. Our emotions are like a let it come out because otherwise you're keeping that smelliness inside of you, and it's not healthy for you. It's actually creating uh, anxiety. It can create illness. It can create extra pressure. It can create your body showing up in various symptoms. A good one that people talk about all the time is headaches, stomach aches, having trouble going to the bathroom. That tension can just wrap around your intestines like a chokehold. It could wrap around your throat, your mind, your experiences. And so then you're actually in your nervous system, you're in this fight, flight, freeze, or fawn experience, one of the other, or some of them all at once. And your nervous system is not in thriving mode, it's in surviving mode. And so I just wanted to share a bit of those with you because oftentimes when I'm working with my clients, they don't know, right? They're just having this experience and it's like, what the heck? Why does it feel so heavy? Why does it feel so strong? Why does it feel, well, what are you going through? What do you need? And giving yourself that permission to go, where do I feel discomfort in my body? Where is that happening? Letting yourself breathe in and out. You might go, well, that's common sense, but it's actually not. When we're feeling all of that going on with our nervous system, our breathing gets much more shallow and our body does not feel safe because it's not getting enough oxygen. Go figure. Breathing, giving yourself breath. It helps the nervous system and your subconscious mind know it's safe. If I'm breathing calmly, my body is safe. If I'm breathing calmly, grounding into my body, reminding myself I'm not experiencing that loss right now. My loved one has not passed right in front of me right now, unless they have, and that's different. You're currently in the state of whatever's happening. But in most situations, we are only replaying the past, replaying the funeral, replaying that argument, replaying being told this awful thing that's happened. And in that moment, you're replaying the pain, which is happening as I talk about it, replaying that loss. And as you do, your heart breaks again. Your body experiences that pain, that loss again. And so when you give yourself that time to be able to go, oh, when I think about what I need, it's bringing up a little bit of pain. It's bringing up the need to cry. Okay, cool. It's bringing up tension in my body. It's bringing up the need to be comforted. So I need to bring comforting words. I need to bring support and kindness. I need to bring ease and breath. I need to remind myself that I'm safe, that I'm not re-experiencing that loss, that I did lose that loved one, but today I'm not losing them today. Today is a new day, and today I can think about them. I can stand in the memories of them. I can focus on all that I've had with them. Or you can add suffering. And I'm just going to use this example so you can see the difference. Suffering would look like, today I won't have them. Today I won't be able to talk to them. Today I won't be able to hold them. And notice the suffering increases the grief. It increases the loss. It increases the pain. So notice when you can allow yourself to shift into, today I could send them love. Their energy lives on. And whether I believe that they currently are asleep in God's memories until they're risen again, or I believe that they're in heaven, or I believe that they're nearby, I know I could send them my love and send them my energy so I don't have to think about what I don't have and what I can't do. Instead, I can focus on what I can do. I can go out and spend time with a child who doesn't have family. I can go out and feed the homeless. I can go out and help my neighbor in honor of my loved one. I can go out and plant a tree. I can go out and take a walk and talk to them. And I want you to notice how I can bring my body to suffering and I can bring my body back out. And I'm going through that process for you so you could see how it works. You can see how the practice creates the results. Now, it doesn't mean that as I'm feeling better, the tightness in my throat isn't still there, which means I need to breathe again. And as I hold that breath, there's pressure releasing that, right? And so I'm going to show you as I breathe in and hold, I'm going to breathe in again, which brings even more pressure to this area in my throat, right? Practice. And as I hold that pressure, I do get lightheaded, but that pressure pushes against my throat. It opens up my rib cage. It also has me focus on my body and on my throat. So I'm grounding myself. And so practicing your breathing, practicing releasing, practicing connecting with your loved one and what you do have with them will allow you to be in love and joy and grief versus suffering and pain and depression and crushing you to your knees. Instead, it's enlightening you, connecting you to them, helping you to step up and feel, oh my gosh, let me connect to them. Let me make a difference in today as I'm thinking about them. It brings you that joy. And also be reminded that grief does not just come from death. So you might be experiencing this particular loss in your mind, but there's so many other experiences of loss that you've had that you're not aware of. Like where you might have had loss because your parents fought all the time. Or they were great, but they were always at work. Or they were great and maybe too great. And so you put a personal pressure on yourself that you had to be perfect all the time. And because you weren't perfect, you felt separate from them. There's just different aspects of human loss. It could be loss of changing schools, loss of changing homes, loss of even a vehicle that was the very first vehicle your family had that they got rid of. And no one helped you to understand the loss you were experiencing because they didn't understand. Sometimes it could be a loss of being made fun of. Sometimes it could be the loss of something going on with your body or that you're slower or different. There's all these experiences that we're not taught how to address. So when we experience loss right now, it will resonate. Much like if you have a guitar in the room and a piano in the room, you pluck that piano string, the guitar string will vibrate because that resonates, that same key. When you're feeling loss and grief now, it will resonate every single experience of loss and grief unresolved. Some of it you think you handled. But if it feels so big, unnecessarily big, now it may just be extremely big and on top of it. So helping yourself take a look at what is it that I need? What is it that I'm going through? Do I need a kind word? Do I need a hug? And giving yourself a hug. I don't have it. Oh, I do. 1 second. I have this little guy right here. It's a little pillow that brings comfort. It's a little pillow that brings support. And so this little guy, he's a hug, right? Just pick him up and let yourself feel that hug. Let yourself feel that nurturing. Breathing, calming your body. It could be any kind of pillow. It doesn't have to be a seal. It could just be this. Giving yourself connection, giving yourself physical connection is important. Giving yourself verbal connection instead of, what's wrong with you? What do you need? What's happening for you? How are you doing? How has this day affected you? How has this holiday affected you? What's been coming up for you? And not making any of it wrong, even if it hurts. Getting a new relationship with pain and understanding that pain, like when you exercise, where it's breaking those muscles, it's ripping, tearing them apart, right? And afterwards you're like, but you're stretching, right? You're getting that flow going. You're continuing to warm up those muscles. You're continuing to exercise. You're continuing to let yourself connect and understand those emotions because you deserve it. Because having that stable understanding helps you to have the best and easiest self-control without having to feel like you have to control. Instead, it's ease and grace And it's removing the suffering and guilt and shame and anything else that doesn't belong in your relationship with whatever, whether it's a person, whether it's an experience, whether it's just a limiting belief that you have that's tied to proof that needs to get cleared. It will affect you at work, it will affect you at home, it will affect your relationship with yourself, it will affect your spiritual experience, it will affect your current relationships, to where you're like, oh my gosh, I want to live my life. And yet you see your life passing you by. So if any of this resonates with you, resonates across, and you'd like more support outside of what I give here on Fridays, let me know. Because in February, I'm going to start the 14-week program, Grace and Grief. So you can walk through this with a group. You can walk through this with understanding, with knowledge, and with action steps, because knowledge isn't power in itself. Knowledge just is. It's when you're able to know what to do with that knowledge and feel supported and know how to support yourself and feel safe to step back into your life, or feel safe to step backward and look at something that you thought you worked on, and you're maybe being judgmental with yourself. I've worked on that, I don't need to look at that anymore. Or you might not sound judgmental. Oh, I don't have any problem with any of that anymore. When we have had loss, or when we have had anything, taking a look at it is still safe. Taking a look at it again without having to erase it is safe. Then it's just a story. Then it's just your experience. Then it's just your journey. That's when you know you're clear. So, recap: understanding that all grief is different. Understanding that you get to check in and ask yourself, what do I need? Breathing, bringing nurturing, bringing verbal support, taking new fun actions, just being with yourself, hugs, right? Checking on what you need. Instead of saying, what's wrong with me? Asking, what's going on? What do I need? Checking in with your body, seeing where the tension is, breathing into it. And instead of saying, well, gosh, I don't know, ask, well, what if I did know? What if it was a friend and they said they felt this way? What guidance might I give them? What support might I give them? And might I just say, you know what, tell me something beautiful about your loved one. Tell me something beautiful about yourself as a parent, as a spouse, as a father, mother, sister, brother. Tell me who you were. Tell me who you are. Step into your beauty. Step into your grace. Step into your forgiveness. Step into your beautiful memories and let yourself flourish and thrive. And that's what I wanted to bring you today. That's you making sure you're taking care of you. And lastly, just a reminder, if you're interested in working with me and starting the program with me in February, let me know. As you have your questions, I'll be able to go over them with you. We'll have a call, half an hour, if that, maybe less, depending on how many questions you have. And you and I get to see if it's a good fit. And you get to let me know what you're looking for, because it's also not just a stereotypical program. I'm going to make it individualized for those attending. So you're going to let me know what you need. So that's also going to help me build, as I'm doing my weeks that I already kind of have planned, I'm building in what your needs are. All right. So I hope that was supportive for you. And just continue to ask yourself, what do I need? And give it. It could be as simple as, like I said, grabbing your little pillow, squeezing it. That feels really nice, really comforting. It could be breathing in, hold, breathe in an additional. Feel it just push away the tension within your body. It could be boxed breathing. It could be diaphragmatic breathing, and we could learn about those things together. It could be noticing your negative thoughts, noticing where you might be practicing suffering, and remove that, realizing, okay. Noticing where you might be replaying something that isn't really happening right now. All of those various tools I shared with you today, practice them. See how they help. And if you need more on any one of them, ask me questions in the comments. And in the comments, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what's coming up for you. Even if you don't like something I said, let me know, because it just helps me add more support for you. All right, bring it in. Big squishy hugs. And know that you're loved, whether you like it or not. All right, darling, you take care of you. And I will see you next Friday for our Grace in Grief. And also, I do Wednesdays, 8:30 Eastern Time. And the idea is just to really come together and connect and reset our mindset for the week. And we do it as faith based. And so we are using the Bible, not any particular religion, but we do look at the Bible, and we do talk about Christ, and we do talk about God. But we're also talking about the idea of resetting your mind, resetting your thinking, resetting your negative. And so even if you're not about, religion, because that's not what it's about, let yourself attend so you can learn the tools. It's about loving yourself, connecting with yourself, understanding who God made you and the relationship he wants to have with you. And yes, we do talk about Christ. So if that part doesn't work for you, then just don't listen for that part. It's really, the goal is to support you, to support your heart, to support your mind, to bring love into your life and help you reset your mindset each Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then Friday, it's around 12:15. There's a little bit of a gap in timing, just when I can finish with my last client and jump on here with you guys. So I look forward to seeing you. Let me know any questions you have, any topics that you're looking at, any prayers that you'd like, and I'll make sure to address them. You take care of you. Bye for now.